Mark, hey. Good
Yeah,
to have you here. Good to connect and have you on the Expert Circle podcast with Hicks Tree Climbing Services down in Coleraine in the MA in Massachusetts.
yes,
So
sir.
we were just talking off camera about, I didn't tell you what the weather was in California, but it's
Yeah,
nice. Yeah.
yeah, we've had negative temperatures here for the last couple weeks.
Yeah, it builds character. We got no character out here in California. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll make a man out of you working out in in -5, -10.
Yeah, we got a bunch of sissy boys out here in California. Soft sissy boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
Cool. Yeah, so tell me about your business. You just said you're getting off a job doing some welding. You're a man of many talents, handy. Were you always good at doing, a little bit of everything? Did you learn some trade stuff from your dad, or how'd you get
well
into,
so, well, I guess, I could be what you'd consider a jack of all trades, master of none. Um, I've pretty much self-taught, uh myself everything. I believe it or not, didn't have a dad to teach me anything. I was raised by a single mom, and I kind of dealt with the typical burdens of that, incarceration, things like that. But I did a lot to turn my life around in the last couple years. I started my business about I want to say 7 years ago, and I really struggled at first because I didn't know what I was doing. That and again, I struggled with my burdens of not having anybody really teach me the ways in life and whatnot. So for like the last about 2 years, I've really dug my heels in and sharpened my pencil and just trying to fine tune everything. Unfortunately, the winters here, things slow down a lot, but being a man of many talents, I managed to supplement my income with little side jobs here and there. I've got a big old tractor out in my front yard that I'm doing some welding on for a farmer down the road. But yeah, I when I got into it, I had a mechanic shop out in my front yard, and during one of my incarcerations, it burnt down. So I lost everything. I lost over $100,000 in tools, uh, two bay garage. I had a crane in there. I had a really nice shop set up. So when I came out, I had nothing. And a good friend of mine, uh, I called him and I was like, "Hey man, I'm down bad. I need a job." He's like, "Well, I can get you a job on the tree crew I work for, Dragon Brush." And that was for Cotton Tree Service out in Northampton. Uh, I worked for them my first week, and I was watching the guy on the crane, and I was dragging brush, and I'm like, "This is for the birds. I want to be up there." So I was a pest. I was bothering my boss, almost daily. "I wanna climb, I wanna climb, I wanna climb." He's like, "All right, well, we'll have to get you gear, da 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 da." He's just dragging his feet. So one day I showed up with a big old duffel bag of all the gear I needed to be in the tree, and I dropped it on his desk, and I said, "There's no excuses now. I'm in a tree tomorrow or I quit." And I expected him to tell me just, "Have a nice day. Best of luck to you." But he put me in the tree the next day, and I just never went back. And from there, I started, like freelance climbing for companies. I found myself down in Alabama for a couple years climbing for Douglas Tree Service, a couple other companies down there. Found my way back to Massachusetts. Uh, and yeah, I just plugging away at it. Um, I have I have dreams of someday, having all the equipment and having a crew and giving them a work order and being like, "Here's the job,"
Yep.
and then I can enjoy my day by my like, with my family and stuff, but right now I'm just, basically in the infancy of a business again, and, it's a struggle trying to get it off the ground, um, especially being the 3rd highest tax state in the union, um, but, we're working at it, slowly but surely. The perseverance has paid off more than
Sure.
anything.
Sure.
Just, grit and determination to make it work, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, super cool to hear your story. Tree trimming's, a tough job, dangerous job. There's a lot of like guys that, come from military service or serving time that are just kind of gangster and have that militaristic,
Yeah,
uh,
I
dude. And
yeah, I noticed that a lot of trimmers, a lot of guys that climb, they're tapped in the head one way or another, and a lot of them, like you said, they have a military background or, or background in the penal system, they're either a felon or a soldier, so
yeah,
but
and it's such a, actually just had a cool conversation with a guy. I'm like, you got to be a little bit crazy, but also like risk averse and detail oriented, so you don't kill yourself. And then it seems like a lot of people are really connected with nature because it is a really soulful thing to be with the trees all day. So it's kind of this interesting, persona.
it's definitely, on a different level of understanding, 'cause every single tree is a new puzzle that you gotta pull apart. Like, you have to be a little insane to be up there, but you also have to, like, be mindful. One small mistake could be my last one. Uh, Back in, I think it was 2017, tree climbing and logging surpassed, deep sea fishing, like the Alaskan crab fishing for most dangerous job. We have most deaths per 100,000, as far as that goes. Production logging being one of the more dangerous sides. Um, with technology and some of the new lifts and stuff that have come out in the last decade, urban forestry's gotten a lot safer, but I mean, still, some days you can't get the lift or the bucket truck there, and you gotta have an old school climber that knows what he's doing to do it, and, that's where I reserve my six-shooter at the end of the day is I can climb, I can do I can rig almost anything down without using a crane. But I do a lot of crane work. Um, yeah, it's fun. It was never I haven't worked a day in my life since I started climbing, you know? You know what they say, "Do something
Yeah.
you love, you won't work a day in your life," and that's
Yep.
what I do.
Yep. Well, that's awesome. And, I think there's, it just depends on your personality profile and your strengths. Some guys, they just love managing people and they want to be a manager and business owner and they have a big crew and scale up. And some guys like actually love doing the work. And for them, like managing a crew and it's just more stress and not necessarily more profit. You have a bunch of more people and a bunch more to manage and, I've interviewed some guys that are very successful and they're just solo YOLOs,
Yeah,
s supporting big families. Interviewed one guy supporting a family of 5, and he's just solo YOLO, and he just goes out and doesn't have that much equipment and does mainly, like, you know, um, pruning and a lot of, like, uh, citrus, and different, fruit trees, uh and makes it work and is really efficient and doesn't have to worry about, it's the slow season and what do I do with my crew of guys? Now they're, like,
yep,
and I don't have how can I keep these guys paid all year and all this kind of stuff that comes with scaling. So, it's
yeah.
not always best to grow.
Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely I would love to see my company, like, get bigger and possibly have a crew, but you said it, slow
Yep.
season right now. I mean, my phone hasn't rang in a few weeks just because it's so cold out here, and e even if my phone did ring, uh, diesel fuel gels up, equipment breaks easier in the cold,
Yep. Yep.
trees are more brittle, things don't quite when you make a cut, it doesn't quite do what you expect it to do, like in the summertime, but, it's it's easy being, a solo tree climber, a contract tree climber to where, like, as long as I can, get a couple jobs here and there and keep my bills paid, I'm happy, you know?
Yeah.
Um, I have a small homestead. I got about 80 chickens. I got 5 goats.
Awesome.
Um, yeah, I got my dog and my wife's got her cat and,
Yep.
you know, we live, fairly comfortably. We do have our struggles here and there, as does everybody else, but it's worked so far and it's, um, it I don't wanna quit. I don't wanna give up on it ever. Because I was talking to a friend of mine, at the beginning of the summer last year, and we were talking about getting into business together, and he's like, "Well, what if we fail?" And I said, "Well, what if we fail? Our worst case scenario is that we go work for somebody else, and that's
Yep.
somebody's life, like, that's their reality. Our worst case scenario is another person's just reality, you know? Like, I'm not afraid to fail because, I mean, I'll try again. I if I fail, I just learned how not to do it next time."
Yep. Yep. Beautiful. You guys sell those chicken eggs? 80 chickens, a lot of chickens.
Yeah, well, again, with wintertime, they're laying enough to keep us in eggs for the family, but summertime, yeah, we sell, dozens of eggs to the farms down the street. Um, the goats, we just in December we had our 2 of our does gave us 2 kids, and those are going to a friend of mine's petting zoo this spring. They're starting a new he's got a farm store that he's starting, and it's going to be, organic pasture raised eggs, grass-fed beef, things like that. Excuse me.
You're not teaching goat yoga classes, Mark, out there?
No, no, yoga's not quite my thing. Definitely, a little prayer and meditation is for me, but definitely not yoga. I'm
No goat yoga, huh? Have you
no
seen
goat
this goat
yoga.
yoga? And, like, crazy
Yeah,
people in California, so they, like, do
I
yoga and the goats crawl on people?
yeah, and they jump on them. Yeah, always thought that was funny. It's crazy some of the things people pay to do.
Yeah, I know,
Mhm.
I know. Um, okay, so that's cool. The homestead's that's pretty awesome. That'd be a dream of mine. I'm sure that keeps you busy too. During slow times, you're probably always something to do on the property. Um,
I always have a reason to get up and start my day at the very least because I got all these little souls, all these little lives, depending on me keeping them alive. And
yep,
like
yep,
when we got these super negative temperatures at night, we gotta go out. We gotta make sure they got enough bedding to stay warm.
yep,
Um, Water's always freezing, so we're always out breaking waters.
sure,
Um, so I mean, yeah, it really gives you purpose. I honestly think more people should raise animals, especially if they're depressed, because like it gives you a real sense of purpose in life.
yep. Yeah, animals are such a great, way to, bring life to us. What was your other, you know, lessons that you've learned on your journey to you said 2 years ago is kind of a defining moment where you made some positive changes in your life and dedicated yourself to your biz, growing your biz.
Yeah.
What are some things you've learned along the way?
So I mean, so 2 years ago, I restarted the business, solely out of coming out fresh out of incarceration. But, I really, I didn't have anything to myself, and the only thing I knew how to do was climb trees. And, I had someone call me up. He said, "Hey, I need a climber." I said, I'm there tomorrow." And I was living in a sober house. Um, I got almost 3 years completely clean. I got off, of, medically assisted treatment while I was incarcerated, which was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life, is,
Yep.
choosing to, choosing to go through that, which was a tough time. Anybody that's been through that knows that doing it as a free person is really hard, but to do it locked up is even harder.
Yep.
And, I tried.
What was your vice?
Uh, anything, mainly opioids and alcohol, but,
Yep, yep,
um, if it got me high, I would do it, and, I say that without any shame, and I recover very loud. I'm very active in the recovery community. I reach out to, um, any other addicts in need, I strongly believe in the therapeutic value of one addict helping another,
yep,
um, and, it's possible, for anybody, and, like, if anybody gets anything out of, what I say here today, is that if you're struggling, keep fighting, and definitely it's worth it to get clean. It's worth it to have daily struggles clean and sober over worrying about your next fix, you know?
yep,
Um,
yep,
and I'm blessed to have a skill that, pays well, and, you know, supports my home and my household. And, I just keep going, climbing and recovering, man. Those are my 2 biggest things that I do is climb and recover. And
yeah,
and and honestly, climbing, um, that's my new drug. If I need a rush, I get into a tree on a windy day. Or go into a tree and send a big top over, because there's nothing like it. There's no high better than it.
yep, yep, yeah, that's awesome. Um, yeah, and it's super cool. I think, AA and the kinda radical honesty in that culture, and hey, there's no shame. We all have everybody has their vice and struggles,
Mhm.
but by having that radical honesty, that's where, like, that change happens, so, yeah, I think it's, yeah, pretty cool. That's what the first step in AA, right, is like, "I have a problem.
Yep.
Okay, let's go."
Yep. Yeah, I'm big in, I used to do a little bit of AA, but I'm big into NA. I do a lot of Narcotics Anonymous, because it's not we look at, we don't just look at alcohol or the substance, we look at the disease of addiction, and we recover from the disease, not the substance, because the substance is just, it's just, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a symptom of something deeper, you know? Um, Me growing up with a single mom, having shitty stepdads in and out of my life, um, mentally and physically abusive, um, it messed me up, and it really did me a disservice in later years as an adult, because I didn't know how to cope with feelings. I didn't have anybody to teach me, how to do things, but, with God and recovery, anything's possible.
Yep,
And,
that's beautiful.
I used to be a big time atheist. I actually uh, had 2 twin girls, and one of them passed away at 9 months to SIDS, and, I really struggled with my higher power. I really struggled, and I hated God for it, And, just in the last year, I've really, been more grateful. I've established more of a relationship with God as I see him. I'm not like a big church going guy. Um, I read the Bible a little bit. I know a little bit of scripture, but I pray, and I try to just be a better man tomorrow than I was today.
Yeah, yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, like most of the guys I've interviewed lately have been believers, which has been cool. I'm a believer too. So yeah, God plays a big part in my life and in those low moments. If I didn't have him to lean on, like, jeez, it'd been tough.
Yeah. I know, a lot of people lean on him like you said, in low moments, like that song, "Only Talk to God When I Need a Favor," but I'm always talking to him. I'm always thanking him for the small blessings, you know? And I'm blessed with a partner that believes, and, she's great too. I believe God sent her to me to make me a better man.
Yep. Yep. Wow. It's amazing. Uh, Man, some of the tree guys, man, you guys are really connected. I think there's something about being connected with nature. You're like connected spiritually to God, and like I don't know, like those trees are like rods. Maybe they channel energy from God or something. I think there's something.
Absolutely, absolutely, and, it's not a coincidence, that a lot of tree guys, they believe because, you know, like, every day you're in a tree, you're in a living thing, and, when I'm in a tree, like, I talk to it, like, "Thank you," like, I thank it for everything that it's done in its life, and, like, I ask it, like, "Please don't let this be my last tree." Taking your life is not something that, like, I particularly enjoy, but, like, I do at the same time, it's kind of a it's I kinda have my animosities with taking trees down sometimes, except pine trees. White pines, I absolutely hate 'em.
Yeah,
I Anytime there's an opportunity to take a white pine down, I'm on it.
yeah, that's awesome. Well, really cool to hear about your journey and yeah, alcohol and opioids are a really, you know, big thing in America, right now. So,
Yeah, unfortunately, it's an epidemic. Um, you
yep,
know, Fortunately, the family that caused it, the good old Sacklers, they none of them have seen a day in jail for literally killing millions of Americans with
yep,
lies.
yep,
And that's
yeah,
one
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
radicalized me to be a homesteader. I don't trust the government. Um I don't trust anything they say on the TV. We don't watch mainstream news, things like that.
yep,
Um,
yep,
we find our lives are peaceful or more peaceful that way.
yep, yep,
Not worrying about all the fake problems out there.
yep, yep. Hey, Mark, I might be knocking on your door when the robots take over. I'll be like, "Hey, you got enough chickens for me? Let's go." I'm like, "Yeah, where do I post up?"
Yeah, AI is a scary and dangerous thing, I think. I feel like a lot, this country could be healed of a lot more people, disconnected and with the technology and reconnected with God.
Yep, yep, absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, and I don't know if this is, helpful, but like, yeah, I used to drink, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. I kind of stopped drinking. Never really had a big problem, but I've done a little bit of like microdosing, and sometimes a little bit more heavier dosing of psychedelics,
Well,
mush.
California, don't you all do that?
It's very California. I'm playing into it. But, you know, you you feel more, right? So if you do like, I don't know if you've ever done mushrooms. Have you ever done mushrooms?
Yeah, I did, way back when I in my 20s, I experimented with them a little bit. I'm not good on hallucinogens. It always starts fun, but it usually it always ends bad.
I mean, that's the thing. So it brings a lot of stuff to the surface that you don't want to necessarily deal with, right? And you'll be
Yeah.
paranoid or fears and different things. So if you can do that on purpose, but like in a small dose where it's not like too crazy, then you like microdose and be like, okay, I'm going to bring a little bit of the stuff to the surface and then let's let it go and give it to God and face those fears, conquer them. Uh, but it's not like, you know, alcohol or opiates where you're trying to numb, you're trying to feel less. So it actually makes you feel more. which can be scary, and you got to be very careful to do it in a positive environment where you can, around people you trust, where you can like let stuff go. But um, yeah, I'm a big fan. If it's the
Yeah,
right environment, uh, to do things that make you feel more, let it go, and yeah,
I gotta throw a little wood in my fire here. We heat with wood, cutting trees down all the time.
I like it. I love. We were just talking about it. I love being able to podcast on your phones now. It's actually better cameras. I'm on my laptop here, and you got a better camera quality than me. So uh,
Yeah, unfortunately, my lighting's not that great. We have a lot of the old filament style bulbs in our house. We don't have many LEDs.
no, it's okay. It's 2:30 here, 5:30 there. So yeah, sun's probably just went down. So
Yeah, about 5. That's why I had you, call me for 5 o'clock because 'cause I'm in the daylight, 'cause I know we had a hard time um, connecting for a little bit. I'm really hard to get a hold of on a phone, and to get me to sit down for, more than 10 minutes to do an interview or a podcast is
sure.
kind of a miracle you got me.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing we do for our clients, for our marketing agency. Guys are up in trees, running around. You seem like you're probably disconnected, even spiritually, from the phone, which is a good thing. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I
we have
try
a
not to I try not to look at my phone as much as possible, especially when I'm working
Yep,
or, spending time with my family. We, um, you know, it's a distraction. Me and my partner, we take a lot of time to, just sit down, spend time with each other and watch a movie. We go out to dinner and we have a rule. We leave the phones in the truck,
yeah,
um, and we talk and we have
yeah,
real conversation. And if, you know, whether it be we're having a good day or a bad day, we work through things together. And I think we have a stronger relationship than most because of it.
yeah. Sometimes you need a partner to say, "Hey, together, let's try to not look at our phones for a minute."
Yeah,
Sometimes if you're
absolutely.
alone, it's like your best friend, and you. But if you're like with another human, you can say, "Okay, let's not do this. Hold me accountable."
Yep. Yeah, I think of social media as like anti-social media because sure you can connect with anybody on the internet at any given time, but how much like face-to-face time do you really get with people when,
Yep.
when you're busy typing or a lot of things is like arguing on Facebook. I'm one of the worst trolls on Facebook. I'll say some shit I don't even mean just to get emotional reactions out of people because it's just so easy nowadays. Everybody's all caught up in their emotional beliefs and things, and people can't just sit down and disagree on something and
Sure.
um and have a real conversation about it. And that's one thing I really like about, the tree industry is because it's always evolving. Everybody has different ideas on how things should be. And, 90% of the time you run into a level-headed individual that's, willing to listen and wants to learn. And, we learn and we grow by sharing information with each other. And I think that's how, the human race has always been able to like evolve and continue to thrive is sharing of information with each other. And we're kind of losing that and we're devolving as a society.
Yep. Um, yeah, I agree. And human to human connection is, yeah, we're human to technology connection, right? So,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, tapping into that like human superpowers of our intuition and listening to God. This is like the only thing that makes us unique as a woman, as a humans, right?
Hmm. Absolutely.
Um, nice. So in the business, we were talking before, you got a young kid working on the website that's going to be up soon. Um, what's the next challenges for you in the business for growing, getting more leads? Have you done anything for marketing other than, I see you got some good 5-star Google reviews.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm. A lot of my a lot of my marketing is like doing good work and spreading word of mouth. I've gotten more work just being in a neighborhood and doing a good job and just being a respectful person, to my customers and things like that. The neighbor will hit me up and be like, "Hey, can you do mine?" So,
Sure.
um, a lot of my advertising, I guess you could say, is word of mouth, and people like they want to give me tips and extra money. And I'd always tell them, like, the biggest tip you can give me is put a review on Google, give me a
Yep.
5-star review on Google, tell them
Yep.
how goofy I was up in the tree swinging
Yeah.
around.
Yep.
Um, I've, I love As I typically hate, like, being the center of attention, but, like, when I'm in the tree and I'm doing some cool shit, I want somebody to see it because you don't I'm not one of those guys that brings a GoPro into the tree. Honestly, I'm terrible about it. My partner was trying to do the website for me, and I had all my pictures are, like, 4 or 5 years old, and, I'm just more focused on the work and doing a good job than,
Yep.
taking a
Yep.
million pictures and videos and stuff.
I know.
I take more video of, like, when I'm on the ground, like, if someone asks me if I'll come run rope for them and do groundwork for them, I end up taking a lot more video then than
Yep.
if I'm actually in the tree.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I
I
got more.
interviewed a young kid who's getting like 1,000,000 views on some of his videos on TikTok, and he's doing time lapse. So I think time lapse, if you are gonna do any videos, if you get a tripod, set up time lapse, do the whole process of the trimming the tree, it's
Yeah.
pretty visually interesting, and everybody's so ADD that they don't mind watching like that
Yeah,
time
as
lapse.
long as you keep it 3 minutes or less, you'll
Yep.
have, you'll get a few views.
Yeah.
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 I've just never really been, very, uh, keen on the technology, like, I hardly know how to run my phone sometimes.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
it's just, uh, I know it would definitely help me to, put more exposure out there, and it would help me grow my business, but, I just it's just it would I feel like it would take away from what the part of climbing and the job that I love, Just like sometimes when I end up working for a company and they put me on lead as a crew and, any the mistakes that other guys make fall on me and I sometimes end up leaving companies because they want me to lead a crew and I just want to climb.
Yeah.
I just want to climb, get paid and go home.
Well, that actually takes a lot of emotional intelligence to know what you like doing and know what you don't like doing. And one, having the self love too, to be like, hey, I want to do more of what I like doing. I like myself. Why wouldn't I want to put myself in situations where I'm doing what I
Yeah.
like?
I mean, at the end of the day, I've chosen myself over money more times than I can count. I was talking with a friend of mine last time. I'm like, I could go back to making, $400 a day contracting for this company, but I'd have to drive out to Connecticut or, drive over an hour a day to get to the job and it would take lots of time away from, my homestead and other things that I would much rather be doing. So, sometimes I choose to struggle a little bit more just to keep my sanity and doing what I would rather do than maybe what I should do or what's best financially for me. But, they I'm uh blessed enough to have a home that I don't have a mortgage on.
Hmm.
My biggest expenses are my electric bill and and car insurance.
Yeah.
Um, you know, my insurances and electric is really all as long as those are paid, I could care less. Um, I raise a lot of my own food, and if I'm not raising it, I mean, hunting season just came by. A buddy of mine, he owns a farm, and they get they get, agriculture tags where they get to shoot, like, a lot of deer on their farm, and he called me up, he's like, "You want a doe?" And I said, "Sure." He's like, "It's hanging in the you gotta process it, but you can
Yep.
have it." I was like,
Awesome.
"Absolutely." So, I mean, I was again, my family was blessed with, some nice, good, God's creature meat, not something from a supermarket.
Yeah. Well, dude, you're living the dream there, even a lot of organic food has chlorine sprayed on it and all sorts of stuff, to
You
keep it
know,
preserved.
or plastic
And
or waxes. There's
yeah,
waxes and things like that, or
yeah,
there's something on everything, and unfortunately, most of our food is more ingredients than food.
yep. So the only
And,
way to
like,
do that is to do what you're doing.
when I pick up, like, a box of mac and cheese and it says silicone dioxide in it, I'm like, "I'm good."
Yeah,
That's a hard pass, I'm like the most non-hippie hippie you'll ever meet,
yep.
you know?
I love it.
Um, I like guns and hunting, but I also love organic produce. I love growing out of my own garden and being out in nature and, just
Yeah,
going for hikes and stuff like that.
yep, yep. You're a cool, very connected guy, Mark, virtually with, the elements. Yeah, I think it's, cool to see how you live your life and doing, what you wanna do, listening, life's too short to be living someone else's life. You're living your own life, and that's super cool. So, what does, the future of your business look like? Then I'd love to hear some nuggets from you, kind of words of wisdom for, different folks. Uh, so you're starting the website, maybe we can talk later, but maybe, doing some of the back end stuff, business stuff that you don't like doing. I think that's good to do more of what you like doing and have other people do what you don't like doing. And where do you see yourself in like a couple years with the business?
Honestly, in a couple years, I'd really like to see, um, I'd like to I'd really like to see my business kind of run itself. Like I said, I'd like to be able to have enough of a workload to keep a crew busy, year round. Um, I'd really like to, have a crew of guys in recovery and, like, do a second, like, I believe a lot in second chances and helping, people out of incarceration, um, people in the rooms of NA, um, and like I was saying earlier, I'd like to be able to give my crew a work order. This is what has to be done in the week, and to have it done and me not have to, like, not have to micromanage, just have, like, a good solid crew, reliable equipment, you know, I you know, be able to have more of a padded savings account and, just make more improvements to the homestead, bigger barn for the animals,
Two,
a new
200
shop.
chickens.
I'm hoping to build a new shop this spring. I'm fortunate enough to have some friends that are general contractors that are going to help me build my shop so that I can have a nice warm, dry spot to work next winter because I'm out in my driveway this year doing all that welding and stuff that I just got done doing. It's cold, but I got a diesel heater blowing hot air on me, keeping me warm. Whatever
Yeah.
it takes.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So, but yeah, I mean, for the future, really is just like, I don't know, basically like partial retirement for myself. I'm 33 years old. I know we're not supposed to retire till we're what, 65 or 75 or whatever, but I'd really like to see myself not maybe not like retired, but definitely like li- living the easy life as you could say.
Sure. Maybe go and do some estimates, getting the guys set up on a job site, and then being able to
Mm.
go do some work
And
on the
then
home.
yeah, and then go out and screw off, because a lot of my life lately has just been work, 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 work. taking time for myself and my partner is it takes like a lot of delegating and worrying about like, okay, well, I got all these jobs. Where's my free time, or like some guy was like, hey, you want to be on a podcast? It's not like pulling teeth
Sure.
to get a hold of me because I'm just so busy chasing that
Yep.
dollar.
Yep.
I'd
Yep.
I'd like I'd like to see the dollars come to me a little bit easier, but
Yep.
I
Yep.
feel like that'll come with time and more experience and, maybe delegating some more advertising and marketing on my end and just, sucking it up and doing the stuff that I hate doing so that I
Sure.
can do what I love doing later on.
Yep. Yep. Um, and gosh, with your journey, so much, you've learned along the way. What are some lessons you want to impart to, maybe get other guys in the tree industry, other young guys coming up in the trades, anybody dealing with, addiction?
Um, as far as younger guys in the tree industry, um, it you'll never learn enough, always just be willing to listen and be humble. Um, don't you got some guys that are hotheads out there. I used to be one. You know, oh, I know everything, you no one knows everything. We're always learning. There's always room to evolve and advance. Um, as far as like I was saying before, as far as anybody out there that's struggling with addiction, um, find a room. Go to an NA meeting. Honestly, I used to think that was one of the silliest things I could do, and it saved my life, and it's blessed me to be able to take on challenges that clean and sober that I normally wouldn't have, that I would have felt the desire to have to use to get through things. And now I feel like there's nothing I can't get through clean. Um, you know, uh
It's awesome. Very cool. Mark, you're a cool guy. Cool conversation, man. Yeah,
Appreciate it.
it's really cool getting to know you and, to see how you live your life and being true to yourself and, being authentic. Yeah, you're a cool guy, and I'm glad we didn't get into politics and talking because we probably agree on a lot of the same stuff and would go down a rabbit hole there.
Yeah, I can get I try not to talk politics because I can spit some weapons grade hate speech real fast,
Yeah.
as far as politics go, I try to avoid them because I have some very radical views as far as that goes, and a lot of people probably wouldn't agree with me on it, but if you
You might
didn't think
you
about
might
it,
be
you'd
surprised these days. I think a lot of people are,
yeah.
wait to the things in the world and seeing behind the curtain how things are, how things work. So, yeah,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
good.
the curtain's being pulled back, and my fear is that the evil people in the world are not gonna be held accountable, but,
Well, one day they will. They may not be here on this earth, but one day they will. And
yeah, they
yeah,
will have to face judgment eventually.
yep. And it's good to know stuff, but then you got to say, okay, what can I control? And and
Yeah, and
good to
I
be
mean,
aware of
that
stuff to your family and protect yourself as much as you can, and then
absolutely,
try to forget
always
it.
be prepared for the worst, have independence with your food, is like one of the biggest things because, with COVID, we saw how fast supply chains can be disrupted and toilet I mean, things as simple as toilet paper not being available. We don't make toilet paper, but I mean,
Yeah,
my family will never be hungry, worst
yeah,
comes to worst, I gotta go out to the coop and kill a chicken.
yeah.
But we'll have protein on the table, and, I feel
Very-
like I I feel very secure in that, being able to provide food for my family by myself.
Hey, that's yeah. I don't know what a real man looks like, but that's pretty close to it. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Awesome, Mark. Well, have a good night there. Thanks for taking the time. I know it's later there. Probably been working a long day, so thanks for taking the time to share your wisdom and story with the world. And yeah, appreciate you having me on. If people can find you, Hicks Tree Climbing Service website will be up. But if you're in the Coleraine, Massachusetts area, uh, yeah, and need
Website will be up Friday, but, I'm on Google and I have, a Facebook also if anybody's ever looking for me.
okay,
Um, and yeah, and I'm Mark Hicks on Facebook. If anybody's out there struggling with addiction, I'm always willing to help with that, no
yep,
matter where
yes.
anybody.
And I like your mission, and yeah, I want to circle back around with you, and hopefully in a couple of years, have another podcast talking about what you're doing with.
Absolutely. This is my first one. This has actually been pretty fun, and, I'm kind of excited to see, to watch myself.
Yeah, yeah,
I've never
absolutely.
even been on so much as like a YouTube or a TikTok reel or whatever, you know?
Yep.
So, this'll be interesting and it's a learning curve and I'm sure I'm gonna probably hate looking at myself and I'm gonna be like, "Oh, I shouldn't have said that," but,
No, it's these are way I mean, doing, like, TikTok reels or something, it's so forced, and having a natural conversation with another human is, like, just such a great way to connect and have deeper conversations and, yeah, and so
yeah, I
I really
definitely
enjoy it.
definitely enjoyed it. It was, not what I expected, but better than, I could have hoped for. I thought it would be hard for me to do something like this, but it actually came pretty naturally. You're a pretty easy guy to talk to.
We got into it too, we went deep, which I loved,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, you're a deep
Had
guy.
some had some real raw, uh, like a real raw conversation of like some real stuff and
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, it can be boring just talking about, pruning techniques all the time, like, it's cool,
I
but
I
cool to, like,
I
let's
could
get real.
I could bore you for hours on proper pruning techniques and
Yeah.
things that kinda hijacked it on some other
Yeah,
things, but, you know,
I love it.
if it
I love it.
if it gets me if it gets the business some exposure and it helps someone else,
Yep.
I love it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, people appreciate, authenticity, honesty, and, yeah, so thanks for sharing your heart and with the world, and, yeah, you're good people, you're a good guy, and,
Thank
yeah,
you, Matt.
great having you on.
Nice having you on. Have a good night, Matt.
Yeah, likewise. See you, Mark.